Hello, everybody. Accureye here, and welcome to not a it is kind of a brand new video on World of Warships, but today we're not talking about World of Warships. Instead, we're talking about Apex Legends, and one of the main things about my concerns going forward with Apex Legends, as there are a few concerns that I'd like to address on Apex Legends. One of the first concerns is, of course, the amount of non-filtered chat. Honestly, I know this has been a recent issue with many places, not just on Apex Legends, but on everywhere, and that's filtering profanity, filtering stuff like racism and whatnot. There's a point where even I can ignore it, but I have a growing concern that, unfortunately, many players are now kind of becoming a little racist on Apex Legends and beyond. Before it was kind of like, yeah, there was a little bit of profanity, there was a little bit of a racist person on hand, but it feels like more so now, especially as Season 1 got released and as new updates and new things are pouring in, it feels like now Respawn just hasn't really taken time to really take out the so-called profanity, the so-called bit of and that's a kind of a growing concern. The other growing concern is, as I've said probably in a few past videos, is that it's kind of getting boring. It's kind of becoming a point where I'm not being challenged. I'm not feeling challenged. And, I prefer to feel challenged. I want something that makes me think on my feet. Something that just changes the battle entirely. Because with World of Warships, for instance, I love the game because it's tactical. It requires you to think. Sure, it's not that different from Apex Legends, but you have to think about, the calculations of the bullets. You have to kind of think, how much speed am I needing to go at to reach, to do this certain thing? What do I need to do? Strategically, it's like it has points of, it's not so much just about the overall, can I go in and win the game? Obviously, that could be something that you will do and you will try to do. But it's more like, what can I do to potentially change the tide of battle? How do I tactically approach the battlefield? Whereas Apex Legends, it's kind of like you drop in, you go in for X amount of kills, or you try to set yourself an X amount of kills, and then it's whoever wins. And while that is good in a solo point of view, it just kind of, I think, detaches the team point of view, the tactical advantage that you need to do, the amount of, thinking about tactics, thinking about the overall, what's your opponent going to do next? How is your opponent going to move? Because, again, that's what makes Apex Legends kind of boring to me, is the fact that it's kind of like, it's predictable. It's very, very predictable. It's very, very repetitive. It's at the point where your opponent's going to rush you, and that's what they're going to do. So it's kind of like, how can you be faster than your opponent? What weapons do you need to have that are better than your opponent's? And, and let's face it, 9 out of 10 times you're never going to have those weapons or the advantage that your opponent will have because, of course, at the end of the day, Apex Legends, it's all about team up. Let's just team up and crossfire on one person. Let's zone in on somebody. Let's not just, make it to where we're tactically thinking, okay, this is an advantage. How can we hold this advantage, So, that's kind of my point, is that there's no real point of, oh, this is an advantage, let's tactically, consider this an advantage, and, of course, at the end of the day, use it as our way of getting around to being somebody, Whereas, World of Warships, World of Tanks, War Thunder, and all those other games, and all these other type of games, they advance themselves, and they are actually successful and they continue to be interactive and fun to me because of the fact that, the battlefield always changes. It's always challenging to consider and think about what is next? What would the next move be? How do I outsmart my opponent? And that's one thing that Apex Legends just doesn't do for me. And neither does most Battle Royales. Most Battle Royales, they don't challenge me to think. They don't challenge me to go, okay, this is what this person's going to do. I have this particular ship. For instance, in World of Warships, I have a battlecruiser. Battlecruisers are slow sect, but they're also very, very strong, very, very powerful. They will absorb damage like no tomorrow against most ships, except for maybe another battlecruiser. So it's like, how do I turn the tide of battle? Well, I pick off the smaller ships. I try to not pick off ships that are bigger than me unless I have a group of, other battleships or warships that are right behind my back, And, tactically, that is what challenges me. That tactically makes it challenging. That makes it to the point where now it's like, oh, well, all of a sudden, we are now having to think. This battleship is going to be, and that's something that Apex Legends needs, is, for instance, if you're playing a tank, you gotta make it to where the tank feels like, oh my gosh, this thing, we have to team up against him, otherwise we're gonna lose. And sure, you increase the damage resistance of Caustic and of course Gibraltar. But I don't feel that was enough to make it to feel like, oh, we still have to team up. We have to team up against this tank. We have to make it to where we're double teaming, if not triple teaming, against this tank. And because of that, it's like you've lost exactly what was you lost exactly what was important, what really made the tank, for instance, powerful. And with that having been said, it's kind of like, I feel that the overall experience of the tank has been lost. It has been kind of now feeling like, oh, well, why should I even bother trying to fight this tank, one-on-one? Or why should I not bother fighting this tank one-on-one? It feels like, oh, well, and it just kind of feels like you don't really care. Like the tank isn't a threat, it isn't like something where it's like, holy sheesh, I've gotta watch my back. I've gotta take down this tank together with somebody else, otherwise I'm gonna lose, And that's the problem here. You can maybe see the problem here is that, yeah, it doesn't feel like, the tank is an almighty powerhouse, is an almighty, Same goes with, like, for instance, an attacker like Wraith. An attacker like Wraith, the problem with an attacker like Wraith is she doesn't feel like she can do a lot of damage. She doesn't feel like she's so hard to hit that you gotta watch your back and you gotta make sure that all your shots count. You could maybe hopefully get the idea here. You hopefully are getting the idea of what I'm talking about here. I hope. And, you can maybe understand what I'm talking about and what I'm thinking about here, because, it makes sense. Like, the attackers don't feel like, oh my gosh, they're so hard to hit, they're so quick. How am I going to tactically put myself in the advantage, in the A zone, if you will, and have the A or the advantage? And that's, like, one of the biggest issues going forward with Apex Legends is that there's nothing that tactically makes it to where I feel like, holy crap, this is extremely difficult. This is something that I've got to watch out for, and because of that, I feel like, it just isn't interesting anymore. It just is boring. It's like, it's not tactically challenging me. It's not making me think, oh, okay, well, I have, like, the Peacekeeper, for instance, that'll beat any weapon, any person on their own, and I don't have to tactically have someone watching my back. But even, like, the Peacekeeper doesn't do enough damage to the point where I feel like it's so powerful that I could handle anyone, and that's something that I think weapons should have to a degree, is that little bit of, oh my gosh, this weapon is so powerful, I can handle anybody on my own, I can do this on my own, I can do that on my own, And, I feel that while maybe some people will complain about that, and maybe some people will think, oh, but that just makes the game too easy, tactically, it's an advantage. It's something that you gotta think about. It's tactically something where it's kind of like, oh, I can't just get away from somebody with a Peacekeeper and not expect to be, shot or hurt pretty decently before I'm out of its range. I mean, sure, maybe that means the Peacekeeper would have to become a little bit more of a weapon where, it has more spread and it's going to have less range. But I'm okay with that. Personally, I'm okay with something like that. I'm okay with someone having that kind of advantage just to be, worried about the Peacekeeper. Just for someone to have, oh, gosh, I gotta watch out for someone who has the Peacekeeper, because if I don't, they're going to end up giving me heck to pay, And like I said, that's okay by me. To me, that would be okay. I'm completely fine with that. I completely think that it makes it fair, it makes it fun, it makes it interesting, So, what I mean, and hopefully you understand what I mean. It's just like Apex Legends needs something to draw me, in, to keep me to the point where I'm like, okay, yeah, I can see that. Okay, it's like, that's good. That's something that I can, totally agree with, because if it doesn't have, well, what I mean is that if it doesn't have something that makes it to where I'm tactically challenged, I'm tactically having to think on my feet, then, I don't know exactly how the game can still be interesting. Same goes with something like the triple take. The triple take should have more damage. Now, why do I think the triple take should have more damage? You're probably thinking, oh, but the triple take's so powerful already. Why should it have more damage? Well, it should feel like a be-all, end-all weapon. It should feel like something where at close range or at distance, you better be worried about it because it's going to tactically take you down. And, some people may go, but that doesn't make it fun. That means everybody's going to eventually want to use the triple take, for instance. And yeah, maybe that is true. Maybe everyone will eventually want to use the triple take because it's so powerful. But again, think about it. If it's a weapon that can take you down, almost with no effort, then how many people would be worried and how many people would be hiding from someone who has a triple take? It'd be like the Cowbar. Everyone would be hiding from someone who has the Cowbar or the Mastiff. And those are the two most powerful guns. You won't find them very often. But seriously, they're a tactical advantage that if you could find them more often than less, you would end up having it to where everyone would be worried sick. Everyone would be like, oh gosh, we gotta watch out for so-and-so because they have this so-and-so weapon. Because they are, they're so-and-so, they're like so-and-so powerful, And, I think that's something that, honestly, everyone would be like, oh, okay, this is going to have to be tactically fought out. This is not just something where I can waltz in and go against someone who has a triple take without being taken down. It's the same thing with, the Peacekeeper. It's not something where I can walk in and, expect to just take them down when I'm going against the Peacekeeper. And I mean, yes, the Peacekeeper is already very, very powerful. But imagine if the Peacekeeper was more powerful. Imagine how much more people would be just flat out worried that they don't want to go in against Peacekeeper. And same with for instance, the same goes for instance with the the triple take. If people don't want to, people don't want to stay at the distance of a triple take because if it was more powerful, people wouldn't want to take the distance game. They'd want to try to find a way to close in on that target and make sure they don't continue to have the advantage, But, I mean, those are my concerns. Those are my thoughts. That's my take on what's going on with Apex Legends and where I feel it is as of today and as of now. So hopefully there are some things that Respawn will take into consideration as this video goes out. And I hope that there is some consideration to make some immediate changes to where Apex Legends feels a lot more challenging. Feels like it challenges people. Feels like it has to have something that makes people think on their feet. And not just makes it to where it's easy. You know, and that's the problem, is Apex Legends is easy. I find that, honestly, a lot of times, I'm bored out of my mind. I'm looking for trouble. I'm looking for battles because of the fact that I'm bored. I'm literally bored. I'm literally like, okay, I could get more ammo, but, yeah, I'm bored. I'm going to go find a battle. I want to find some trouble. I want to get some action. I don't want to just be like that team or that person or that group that just kind of stays out of battles until the final round comes around. I want to get 10, 15 kills. I want to do some damage. I want to be literally out there causing trouble, you know. And if there is weapons out there that make it to where it feels like you can cause trouble with almost no recoil and no recourse, then it would make it more interesting. It would make it more fun. And I think it would bring the challenge level out, because it would mean that people who are basically just sticking around waiting for the final team to come into play won't be able to continue to do that. It'll make it to where, you know, Apex Legends now has to worry, like, if you're that team that's sticking around waiting for ammo, looking around for all the best items, and you're not trying to get into battles, they're going to be worried that someone who has a triple take, someone who has a peacekeeper is going to come up and just smack them around like no tomorrow. So I think that would bring the challenge factor up, and it would change the tactics up, and it would make it a little fresher to stick around on Apex Legends. But until then, I mean, honestly, these are my concerns and my thoughts about Apex Legends. This is where I stand on Apex Legends. Is it worth buying the Battle Pass? Absolutely not. Do I think the Battle Pass is worth the money? Not exactly. I personally believe you can spend your money on better things than the Apex Battle Pass. I mean, that's my personal choice. That's my personal thought. It's the same that goes with like Fortnite. Should you buy the Battle Pass every month? Nah. Or every 90 days? Absolutely not. I think you could spend your money better elsewhere. I don't think you should spend your money on you know, the Battle Pass or stuff like that, because it's personally just not worth the money. You're not going to find it to be challenging. It's not going to be something that you're going to end up, you know, utilizing. I think Apex Legends is just boring until it becomes to a point where, you know, you can feel like, oh my gosh, there's someone with a triple take, or there's someone with a peacekeeper, and I can't just lollygag and look around for ammo and be like the last team in and out. You know, until that point comes around, then I feel that Apex Legends is just not worth spending money or even just investing into. But that's my thought. I personally think Apex Legends is getting boring, and it's not becoming challenging anymore. And with that being said, thank you everybody for joining me today on this video. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and hopefully you've gotten an understanding of my concerns, and hopefully Respawn will start considering changes to make it more challenging. But until then, everybody, thank you everybody for joining me today on this video. Thank you for watching this video. I am live on Twitch at www.twitch.tv/Accureye. I am live on Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday for sure for about 4 to 5 hours. But lately, I've also been live on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and potentially Sunday. Sunday will always be about a bonus stream, so no matter what, I will just do a 2 to 3 hour bonus stream. Monday and Tuesday is the same thing. I will do a 2 to 3 hour stream. But with that being said, thank you everybody for joining me today on this video. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for sticking around and enjoying this video. And yeah, until the next one, everybody, if you like this video, you know what to do. Hit the like button, get subscribed, hit the bell notification, because I know you want to know when my next video drops next. And until the next one, everybody, this is Accureye, signing out and saying farewell, everyone.